Hello, welcome to the Bonsai Show. It's 9:30 here at the nursery and that is the first of probably 2 waterings that we will give the trees during the course of today. It's obviously warming up now, temperatures are increasing and we do need to be aware that trees, particularly small pot trees, will need more water as the temperatures increase. Some of our small pot trees will probably have 3 waterings on a hot day like today, but the alternative, if you're not able to do that, is to put those trees in the shade, and that may be the shade of a bench, of another tree, a hedge, a building. But either way, it's the best way to protect your trees, your investment and your hobby from the effects of warming, particularly as global warming and climate change take effect. Now I'd like to introduce you to the first of our project trees. It's a tree that we bought in 2 weeks or so ago, and it's an Hokkaido Juniper, a somewhat rare piece of material. So our objective firstly is to keep that tree alive and healthy, to develop it into a great looking tree over the next 3 years or so, with the aim to put it into an exhibition. But more importantly, to take genetic material in the form of cuttings from the tree. So this is the tree in question. It's quite a large beast. It's a large tree for our nursery, but it is in itself a beautiful piece. If we talk about the general health of the tree, it's relatively green, it's nice, it's a little bit thinner on the side over there. The foliage does thicken up on this other side, so I suspect that it has been facing the sun more on this side of the tree than what is now on the back, and that is something that we can deal with here. We have an ideal location where the tree will go, but before we can consider that, we have to look at the health of the tree. It's the most important factor. If the tree is not healthy enough to withstand the treatment and the styling that we are going to perform on it, then it simply shouldn't be done. With that in mind, what we are going to do, because this tree obviously has not been repotted for a number of years, is to remove around 10 to 20 millimeters of soil all the way around the outside of the pot. We'll fill that with pumice and put in some Oceana root boost to give it a bit of a boost. We will then top that off with a little bit more pumice and some sphagnum moss to prevent it from drying out quickly. And really, beyond fertilizing and adding seaweed tonic to the tree, that is all that we will really consider doing for the next 12 to 18 months. So the sickle saw is a great tool for when you have this kind of activity to undertake, whether it's doing this kind of emergency repot type work or getting the tree out of the pot in the first place. Not entirely sure what we're going to find when we try cutting into this, but let's give it a go. As you might expect, it's a little bit tough going. And I could probably do with a deeper sickle saw for this. One of the alternatives would be to drill holes or poke holes through the existing root mass and top those off with a pumice type mix. As you can see, this will take some time. What we will be looking to do is to promote new root growth within this space that we create and the pumice mix that we put back in there, in order just to generally improve the health of the tree. And as I mentioned, the aim will be to look at styling to some extent this tree in another 18 months, I would imagine, with a full repot once it's healthy enough. So we're heading round into the back of cabins at the nursery here, and this tends to be slightly more functional area. We have all of the water butts, IBCs, 1,000 litre water containers which collect rainwater from the roofs that we have down here, and generally it's not an area that we have customers in, but it's, as you can see, it's quite a reasonable patch of ground, but it is more functional than decorative. You can only make these look decorative to a certain amount, and through some of these IBCs we have actually planted climbers to mask the look of them a little bit. We've actually come down here to introduce one of the other projects that we're working on, and I'm quite glad that the wind has slightly picked up and it started to move. But this is a 600 watt wind turbine, and the whole aim of this for us at the nursery is that for some of that material where we like to take cuttings but we've had no luck, and we believe that bottom heat as part of that propagation would be beneficial, what we're actually putting in is a wind turbine which will charge batteries, in this case car batteries or leisure batteries, and we'll then use those batteries to power heated grow mats, or even a bit of a hybrid. And we're looking into quite a few other projects, for example, where they might use Christmas tree lights to provide that kind of bottom heat. There are numerous options that we can go to. We do need to be aware of the safety of electricity being in the same area as watering the trees. So whilst we could use an inverter from the battery to power those heated mats or heated propagating beds, we just need to be careful. We need to make sure that the products that we trial and eventually select will both do the job, are controllable, and are both safe. But for the cost of them, this wind turbine came in at around £130. It's doing a reasonable job of charging the battery that we at the moment have hidden just in this little storage box. We do have the materials to put this up properly, and I think that we'll probably end up getting up to about 4 of these to provide enough power to do that job. So hopefully one of the next times you see this, it will look a bit more permanent than being strapped between a couple of IBCs which we know aren't going to go anywhere, and will probably be up sticking just above one of the roof line of the cabins here, providing us with free power for those propagation beds. But I think we've got a long way to go in that trial, and we will report back to you as soon as we've got something more of an update for you. So back to this Juniper. We've now taken out that 10-20 mil gap all the way around the outside of this pot. What we're going to do is to fill it with pumice, and this is a fine grade pumice and pure pumice. We're not necessarily putting anything additional in there. There's no akadama or no other drainage. And what we'll be looking to do is to promote root growth within this new cavity that we've created. I get the feeling it's going to take a reasonable amount to fill this back in, but probably do with a bigger scoop. As I mentioned earlier, this is really, in my opinion, the best that we can get away with this tree, given its general health and current position, but it will put it into a much better place going forward. What we intend to do is, as soon as is practical, is to take cuttings from this tree. But obviously, to take cuttings, we need the tree to be throwing out healthy new growth, which it should start doing fairly soon. The next priority is to make this tree a piece to be looked at, a piece to be exhibited, and that we aim to do within the next 3 years, to get it into one of the UK major exhibitions. And we may well opt to aim for Expo down in Crawley for that. But 3 years is still a decent way off. So your guess is as good as mine. But with the best care, we should give it the best chance. And it would be good to start making this tree available in a good, healthy position for the public to appreciate. Okay, I think we've pretty much well filled that in now. We'll now go just off camera here for some feed. And we're applying somewhat liberal amounts of Oceana root boost, again into this cavity area. And that should do. A little touch more in places. And then our final task will be to apply a good coating of sphagnum moss just to stop those areas drying out. So we need to swap these. Okay. Sphagnum moss you can buy from pretty much any garden centres. We buy this dried, but you have to rehydrate it. And we're going to place this along these edges, and then once we've got sufficient on there, we'll force it down the edge of the pot so that it can be well watered. Well, I think that does it on this project tree for now. There will be more content as we monitor the progress of this tree towards that goal of exhibition in about 3 years' time. We've added the sphagnum moss with the Oceana root boost, and it will get a good watering and put to one side. I obviously need to clean up here and wash my hands, but the next job we'll be getting on with is trimming some of our hedges. Not a complete trim. The birds may well still be nesting and we're mindful of that, but we can at least trim up the doorways through the hedge and on the ends. So we'll get on with that, and we'll see you next episode.